Hi, I'm Corey.
Hi, I'm Tess.
Welcome to A Lovely Place.
We're so glad you've joined us as we invite Jesus into the midst of our lives, learning, and laughter.
We hope this podcast can encourage your heart and make you smile today. Hi, friend.
Hello. I love that the people that are listening can't see the faces that you make, but I get to.
Well, I don't know why it's so loud in my ear, but it's, anyways, I'll have to ask our sound studio tech man.
Right? Why is the Zoom lady so loud?
What's going on with her? So we're starting our new book, Famous at Home.
Yes.
And it's the holidays right now. It's right before Thanksgiving when we're recording this. So I just wanted to say happy holidays, happy Christmas, Merry Christmas, happy Thanksgiving. I just thought this was a good book to be mindful of going into the holidays. I don't know. I'm off track of when this will actually release, but in December, I think, right?
December 9th.
So there's still some time to be like, hey, I can be famous at home during Christmas when it can get a little hustly and bustly.
The Christmas crazy, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I've been trying to front load my expectations. And then I heard somebody talking about replace expectations with desires and needs.
Oh, that's good.
So I was like, that is very good. And then I'm like, now I don't remember where I was listening to that. But anyways,
that's really good.
I was like, okay, this is my desire. And maybe it was on the Don't Mom Alone podcast. I haven't been listening for a long time because I've been dealing with all my medical situations and so not a lot of extra listening. Anyways, Famous at Home is the book we're reading. Holidays are upon us.
Yes.
Thanks for being a friend. And I'm glad we can connect.
A friend in me. Well, I'm excited. So this is by Dr. Josh and Christi Straub, Straub. And I think the reason why it stood out to me, because we had a few choices of which book we were going to do next, and this one stood out to me, was because I know one of my values, like we talked about last episode, one of my values is my family and trying to do the best that I can for them as a parent, as a wife to my husband, doing what I can to learn and to grow and to make choices that go with what life I want to lead, And so that is one thing that as we've been going through this podcast journey and reading all the books that we have been, it's something that has stood out to me as what I want to do. And so when I saw this book, I was like, this goes along perfectly with just kind of where we've been moving and what we've been learning. And just, I think, gives a right perspective on how to see our families and the amazing opportunity that we get with our families, So I'm excited to go through this and to chat with you and, to hear any feedback that our listeners might have on it. So if you want to follow along with us, we will link the book in the show notes, and it's never too late to pick it up and start reading with us.
Yeah. And on their website, which we can also link to, you can go and print the little study guide thing that goes along with the book. 7 decisions to putting your family center stage, which that's what the book tagline is. But it just has little questions, and we'll kind of be bouncing from that on our podcast episodes. Yes. And I got it on audio version this time, and my techie husband was able to put it on blah 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 so I can listen to it on my phone and not have to have a CD player. So I was happy for him to help me figure that out.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
That's good. The only place I have a CD player anymore is my car, so that wouldn't work very well.
Yeah.
Because my children never want to listen to what I want to listen to in the car. We're always playing Dora the Explorer lately, so.
Those boys, they like Dora. Just kidding. Probably Raynana. Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness.
Riker and I have been listening to Christmas music, and we've checked out a Christmas kids CD from the library. So it's younger voices singing, and it's been
that's cool.
Fun. Liked it. I don't know who any of the people are, but I know the song, so that's fun.
There we go.
Yeah.
That is fun. So this first part of the book is what it means to be famous. Mm-hmm. And the first chapter called Being Famous, with the subtitle of Who Showed Up for You. And I love one of the lines that he says in here. He's talking about his grandma, who he mispronounced her name when he was little to Mima, and then that just became the name that everybody called her. And he says, to the outside world, Mima wasn't known, but to me, nobody was more famous. And then later he says, we trusted her to show up. And I don't know, I just felt like the way that he told the story about his grandma, his Mima, was like, really just touched my heart. And just made me think, like, that's, like, I want to be the person who shows up for my people, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think it's just such a powerful thing to have someone, you know, that shows up for you. It gives you, like, that foundation, you know?
And beyond just literally showing up, like, that's like goes to that the next layers of what's emotionally happening or spiritually going on or physically happening, or so, like, it's taking it deeper, not just your body shows up at a baseball game. It's like, oh, we're talking about, hey, that's your teammate and your coach, and like you're sharing life. It's not just
a physical presence.
Yeah, it's not passive. It's active. So it's like, and people know when you're engaged in them or when you're just standing there.
Right?
So I just thought that was an interesting difference. Like in the beginning of the book, when he was talking about, I was crushing it when they had their kids and they were on all these crazy road trips, and you know, he's thinking he's doing it this way, and she's like, dude, I just need a nap.
Right.
I need you to not be driving me around. Like, so it just was like an interesting perspective of, like, we need to check in with our people to kind of check in with our values and where we're actually hitting the mark, and when we're like, oh, I got off track here and this is what I actually need to be doing. It kind of made me think of the 5 love languages. Like, how am I actually communicating to the other person what they need? And so,
well, and it made me think too of what you just said. Made me think of in the Don't Mom Alone book when she talks about, I think it was Don't Mom Alone book, where she like talks about having the conversation with people, like, how have you been experiencing me lately? You know, like finding out, like, because sometimes, like you said, I think we can have this view, like we have a specific view of success and relational success and what it looks like. And we may think, oh, I'm doing great. But then the other person might be like, no, I really didn't like that, actually.
Yeah.
And so to be able to have those conversations. But then I think it's hard as a parent, too, because I remember one time I asked the boys, like, what could I be doing differently that, you know, like that would make you feel more loved or something. And I'm pretty sure Spencer told me, I'd like to just have more cake. And I'm like, okay. You know, so sometimes you got to take people's answers with a grain of salt and like figure out like what are you actually looking for there, you know, instead of maybe the exact words that they're saying that don't make sense. But
yeah, or just like remembering that our people need to have examples and learn what it means too. Like we're teaching, we're coaching, we're the examples, and I think another thing too of just like what was I thinking? Oh, just like that, we don't have to be famous to everyone.
Yes.
Like this whole book is focused on famous at home. And cute little Rihanna just jumped in talking about famous at home.
Yes. My little non-napper today.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love what he said. He said, being famous at home is about showing up in love, not just showing up, but showing up in love for our spouse and kids. And we show up best when we do so from a place of feeling truly loved ourselves. And so he's talking there about like, are we truly experiencing and accepting the love of God for us? Because it's really hard to love others unconditionally if we feel like there's conditions to love and we're not feeling that love, you know? So I thought that was a really powerful statement. And he talked about in John 13:33, where Jesus said, "My children, I will be with you only a little longer. You will look for me, and just as I told the Jews, so I tell you now, where I am going, you cannot come." But then he says, "A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another." And Josh, the author, said he was making the point that Jesus called them my children or dear children, and that in our view of things, we might see that as like demeaning them or something, but really he was expressing like his deep, heartfelt love towards them, like saying how dear they were to him. Before he expressed that they needed to love others, he was showing, this is how much I love you. Mm-hmm. Now you can love others, you know, love each other. So I think that's a good reminder, because I think sometimes I can do this on my own power, you know, out of my own, whatever it might be, my own motivation or my own will. But I think it really does start with God's love, like, and being able to rest in his love.
Definitely.
Rihanna's enjoying some yogurt here with me in my closet. It's such a fun podcasting journey.
She says. So one of the first questions in the little book, if you did print it or want to print it, was, who was famous for you when you were a child? Describe one person who was always there for you. How did his or her support encourage you and give you confidence? So I was first thinking of my mom, because she was always there. Like, if we needed someone to, like, there was a couple different school situations at different things. She needed to like advocate for us with our teachers. She was there. She would take us to church, show us who Jesus was. You know, like, it just was like, here's dedication. And then now being a mom myself, looking back at what everything my mom did for us, I just was like, thanks, Mom, like for doing all the things tireless. How do you say that word?
Tirelessly.
Yeah. So I just was like, and then I was happy that the first person I thought of from my childhood was my mom. Like, thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. So he kept talking about, you know, when someone shows up for you, you're able to be yourself. Mm-hmm. And that made me think of my, like a mentor that I had when I was in high school. Mm-hmm. And her house was always open to all of, like, you know, the teenagers around. And so we hung out there a lot. And I just remember in those times, you know, because it's like in high school, you feel like you almost have to be someone else, or you feel like to fit in, or all those other things. And I remember feeling, as I would have conversations with her, feeling like I can be myself and it's okay. Yeah. And so she came to mind as someone who was famous for me.
that is important. Oh, I just wanted to take a picture of this. I love it.
Rihanna with yogurt on her face. Yes.
Yeah, and she's enjoying every last minute of it. I think that's also as important, like that we can look back and see at different seasons in our life who was speaking into our hearts, and hoping that everyone that's listening has those famous people in your past, like that there was more support than there was hurt in your story.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, anyways. And then the other question, as you look at your own family, where do you see yourself already showing up for your spouse and kids? Where would you like to improve? And how do you think your spouse and kids would answer this same question? So it's kind of like, what? I don't know that I pondered this one very much, but I was just like, I think lately I've been trying to focus on being present.
Yeah.
In the moment, because then I can pay attention to what's going on and I'm not distracted, like off in la la land, in whether I go back to the past or go to the future.
Yes.
Trying to stay in the moment is
That's good.
What I'm trying to do, to show up, literally show up, like.
Yes. Yeah. Not just your physical presence, but you're being emotionally, mentally present. Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah.
I think that sorry, Rihanna's turning off the lights. I think that one thing that I feel like I am showing up for my family right now is with some of the things that we do to spend quality time together. We read books out loud with each other and play games together. And I know, at least for my middle child, the quality time is a really big one. He just wants to, do things together. So
yeah,
I think that's one way. And I'm really not, I'm not sure. I think, at least my impression is that my family might say I'm kind of grumpy sometimes, and that maybe I would show up better by not worrying about like things being done the right way, whatever it might be, but just laughing and smiling and being okay with life being a ride and just holding on,
I like that. Hold on, friend.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Like, and then like I try to pay attention. We've also been playing a lot of board games as a family, like, and that's like a special time that we get to have, and it creates memories, and you're doing something together. So that's been fun. And Stefan and Riker are reading a book together that he read when he was a kid. So,
that's so cool.
A little book series, Wally McDougall. I can't remember the author right now, but they're like crazy little stories of a kid and his adventures.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, I think I would just be I'm encouraging myself right now, and encouraging you to think about, like, in this season when life gets a little bit crazy, what are some small intentional choices you can make each day? Maybe if it's even just 5 minutes that you can be more, show up with your family and be, be focusing on how to be famous at home with your people. And it doesn't take, it's not, sorry, my guest speaker here has some things to say. It's, it's not about like big chunks of time or big, big bursts of energy or exactly. It's all the little things that we do that add up. So
and then I was thinking, it was interesting, like he went through a couple different scenarios of what could be the most important to your family, like, sports are important to us, or going to all the Christmas events, or doing all the whatevers. And I don't even know what they all were, but it was just kind of like, what's actually important, or now I've lost my train of thought, but just like, what do we actually need as a family? And then just putting that as a priority over all the stuff and the shoulds and the whatevers. Like,
yes. And I think that's so good to think about, like, what, some of these things that we may think, oh, this is so good to do, or this is so important, and to try to pick it apart to find out what is the need that we think we're meeting there with that thing.
Yeah.
And to be okay to think maybe sometimes there's a different way to meet that need, and that we're not the people that have all the answers, that maybe the other people in our family can also contribute and say, oh, here's how I think we could meet this need or live out this value as a family, whatever it might be, you know?
Yeah, like I had to check myself when there was Facebook keeps popping up with all these Christmas things we can do, and it was like they were all on one weekend or something. So I'm just like, okay, well, we can't do everything. Like that doesn't. No, it's not the. So it was just kind of like I was like, okay, Corey, dial it back a little bit here, and then I'm even like been letting go of expectations of however I would have done things last year to just allow for that space to be more present and not being like worried, like, oh, I didn't do this yet, or decorate that first, or it was like, okay, let's just calm down.
Yeah,
Take
it's okay
breath.
for things to look different than they did last year.
Yes.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
That's really good. That reminded me of, I was watching Dawn the Minimal Mom the other day, and she was talking to...
Isn't she amazing?
She is. She was talking about toxic clutter, and she was talking to some, I think he was a psychologist, but I could be wrong.
I think some kind of counselor for sure.
Yeah, and they were talking about photos, like family photos. Yeah. And he was saying, like, I've become more of the mindset, take less pictures and live more in the moment. And he was talking about how our, like, from a developmental, like mind developmental standpoint, like we're not actually equipped, like, to look at pictures of ourselves in the past. Like we're actually supposed to just integrate all of our past experiences into the person we are today. But when we look at pictures of things of the past, and I was thinking, when we are so rigid about Christmas traditions that we did in the past, maybe like it kind of is a barrier for us being integrated and a whole person as who we are right now in this moment, this Christmas, when we dwell on what happened in the past, or what did things look like in the past, or what were my children doing in the past that maybe things are different now, and to be able to see things from a wholehearted perspective instead of I wish things were the way that they used to be, because I think I struggle with that a lot. So
yeah. I remember in a not so famous moment in a conversation with Stefan one time, I was saying something. I was looking at our wedding pictures, and I'm like, "Who are those people?" Like I was just like, but it's fast forward, almost 12 years. We are totally different people, and we're walking through different situations. So, I like that about the pictures. Like we're not meant to live backward. We're meant to be forward and be in this moment and be present, and God is with us right now. Like on the Soul Space app, a lot of times there'd be like, this point in history has never happened and it's never going to happen again. And I'm just like, part of it makes me feel like, like I only have this moment. Like I don't want to waste it. But it's just like, okay, wait, dial it back, Corey. And just like, this is encouraging me to be in the moment and not, and just to treasure the mundane and the things that are simple, and treasure that Rihanna is the cutest little girl in the world, turning the light on and off. Like
the interruptions.
Yeah. And it's like amazing. And it brings me joy in this moment. Maybe you're feeling like, but it's like,
no, it's
not
okay.
that you're feeling, but just like the nap time and all the things.
Yes. Well, and that just made me think of that Jesus like operated in this space of always being interrupted, and that he didn't, like, he had a shorter, like, he knew the time span that he had in his life and how much time he was going to have to make an impact, yet he embraced the interruptions. Like, that's such a, I don't know, just a mind blown thing for me. It wasn't like, hey, I've got important business to do. Like, stop it. Leave me alone. He was like, yes, you are the important business. I'm here for you, you know? And so I think that reminds me that I get to be that for my kids. You're not an interruption. You're the VIP, very important person.
Yes. That's right.
So.
I love it.
Yes. Well, thank you for chatting, friend. I get to go be present in the moment with my little VIP light switch flipper, Rayanna.
Oh, man. And I love it. And we just pray that you have a fun time being famous in your home.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Thank you, friend. Thank you, listeners.